Hi. So the other day we were multiplying polynomials, and we also were going over vocabulary that if you have a single term, that is a monomial. So we were multiplying a monomial times this binomial. And we even practiced multiplying a monomial times a trinomial. And we did that recently, and we went over the vocabulary. So remember how we multiplied a monomial times a binomial? We just distributed and multiplied, because remember that means multiplication, to both of them. So that gave us 4x squared times 3x would be 12x to the third power. And then 4x squared times 6 would be 24x squared. And these are not like terms because this x is to the third power and this x is to the second power. So those are not like terms. So that is it. That would be our answer if you were to multiply that monomial times that binomial. So today what we're going to talk about is multiplying two binomials together. So remember, when you have a parentheses next to a parentheses and there's nothing there, remember that implies multiplication. So today it's basically you're just distributing and multiplying this x to both of these. And then you're going to go back and distribute and multiply this 4 to both of these. So you're just distributing twice. However, I want to do it using the acronym FOIL because it's going to help us when we go the opposite direction. When we go factoring and we go the opposite direction, it'll help us if we use FOIL to multiply, which is really just double distributing, but it's going to help us in the future for when down the road. So F is for first ones, and the first ones are the ones that are in that these ones are the first ones in the parentheses, and then the outside ones are the ones that are outside. So we're going to put it down here. So the outside ones, these are the outside ones. And then the inside ones are the ones that are inside. So that's your inside. Sorry, I didn't spell that right. Let me fix that. There we go. And then the last ones, so first side, inside, and then the last ones. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do first side, outside, inside, last. So first side, outside, inside, last. So let's try that one at a time. So you should be taking notes. So the first ones, so when you multiply the first ones, an x times an x is an x squared, and I'm leaving some room. And now we're going to go back and multiply the outside ones. So the outside ones would be x times 3 would be 3x. So this is what I get when I multiply the first ones. This is what I get when I multiply the outside ones. And then when I multiply the inside ones, that is the 4 and the x. So the 4 and the x are the inside ones. So outside, inside. So 4 times x gives me a positive 4x. And then when I multiply the last ones, so that's your inside. And then when I multiply the last ones, a positive 4 times a positive 3, right, is a positive 12. And then notice our outside term and our inside term are like each other, right? They are like terms because they both have x's. So we have an x squared, and then if you have a positive 3x plus a positive 4x, doesn't that give you positive 7 or plus 7x's? So this is your final answer. Now, for those of you who have Canvas, if your teacher asks you to type that into Canvas, so if you were using Canvas, which I am for my class, when you type that in, remember to type in the exponent. You type in the x, then you use this key, which is hiding underneath the 6 key. You have to hit Shift and 6, and then plus 7x plus 12. Oops, I forgot the squared, didn't I? So we have to type in the squared. So your exponent, so I have to type in that squared right there. I'm going to get it wrong. So x squared plus 7x plus 12. And you should have no spaces and no capital letters. If you don't type it in with the exponent key, it'll mark you wrong. So be very careful, right? So let's try that foiling again. Let's try another problem with FOIL so you get the idea. So you can pause and rewrite this down. So we are going to multiply the first ones together. So that's x times x is x squared. We're going to multiply the outside ones together. So x times 2 is 2x. We're going to multiply the inside ones together. So negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And then the last ones is negative 5 times a positive 2 is a negative 10. You got to know your sign rules really well. So again, you've got your first ones, your outside ones, your inside ones, and your last ones. First side, outside, inside, last, which is really just double distributing. And then when you combine terms that are like each other, be careful. You have a positive 2x's and a negative 5x's. So that is going to give you a negative 3x's minus 10 is your final answer. So that's how you FOIL. Let's try another one. You should pause the tape and try it yourself and then come back and see if you did it right. So if we multiply the first ones, we get x squared. Multiply the outside ones, we get positive 4x. Multiply the inside ones, we get negative 4x. And if we multiply the last ones, we get negative 16. And then, so we've got our first ones, our outside ones, our inside, and our last. And what happened to the oi? I call this my oi. What happened to the oi? Our oi's are like terms, right? So isn't a positive 4x and a negative 4x, doesn't that zero out your x's? And you're left with just x squared minus 16. Let's try number 4. What if we have 2x plus 3 and a 4x minus 5? This is a little bit harder one, but not really. You're just multiplying the first ones together. So what is a 2x times a 4x? Remember, you are multiplying. So 2x times 4x is 8x squareds. And then what happens when you multiply the outside ones together? 2x times negative 5 is a negative 10x's. And then when you multiply, positive 3 times 4x's gives you positive 12x's. And then when you multiply the last ones, you get a negative 15. And then when you combine your like terms, don't we have more positives, right? Don't we have more positives than we have negatives? So doesn't that give me a positive 2x minus 15? So that's your first side, outside, inside, and last. And if I gave you x plus 3 squared, remember what squared means. Squared, really, this is just a fancy way of writing an x plus 3 times another x plus 3. So remember what squared means. If this was x plus 3 to the third power, it would mean an x plus 3 times another x plus 3 times another x plus 3. And then you can do the first ones, the outside ones, the inside ones, and the last ones. And when you combine like terms, that gives you x squared plus 6x's plus 9. So be careful. So this is what we're learning today. We're learning about multiplying binomials, and we're using the first, outside, inside, last method, which is really just double distribute, but it's going to help us when we go in the reverse in the future. Have a good day.